Over to the US, and the chair of the Federal Reserve, Jerome Powell, has warned about the economic risks posed by the new COVID variant. Michelle Schneider from Market Gauge is here for more on this. Michelle, great to have your company as always. What are the challenges here posed to America's economic recovery now?
Well, clearly there's a lot of misinformation at this point and a lot of confusion about what exactly is going to occur. With Omicron, we just went through the Delta and it turned out not to be as bad as people had feared. And yet, usually market has short memory, and now the market has a very long memory and is in a state of fear. And then comes Powell yesterday and talks about hastening the taper of the bond buying, the fact that there is inflation. He's no longer going to use the word transitory. He's going to the word entrenchment. And he was just a little bit too late, I think, in having that conversation, because now it's going to look kind of silly for him if this actually does wind up wreaking havoc in terms of the variant. And even though I don't think we're going to see closures, just like what you had the story, we're definitely going to see an industry that's already battered getting battered more. And consumer confidence has gone down, not only because of fear of inflation, but now add this to the mix. So it's been a very rocky road since last Friday when we had Black Friday. And there is nothing in the headlines right now that is particularly soothing. And that's why we saw the indices sell off so hard at the end of the day.
There's so much happening now, isn't there, in regards to America's economy? As you said, we came out of Black Friday and Cyber Monday where retailers were seeing some really positive signs, but now the new variant puts that volatility back into the mix here. Will the Fed raise the rates?
No. He never actually mentioned that he would raise the rates, and so you had to listen very carefully. Basically, what he was saying was that he would no longer be accommodative, so that we already knew that they were going to taper the bond buying, that he would accelerate that. But never once did he say, as a result, we will raise the rates. There are other people in the Fed who are suggesting that. But now with this new situation, it'll be interesting to see what happens. Maybe, and this is where inflation can really get out of control still, regardless of the good intention that Powell has, if we have to do any more stimulus or bail out any particular industries, or if things go from bad to worse. At this point now, it looks like we're looking more at a stagnating economy, and the inflation, which has come down a little bit just because of the fact that demand has fallen and we've had a liquidity crisis here over the last week, that could actually rear back. And so I still think that right now, the credibility of so many areas, not just with the central banks, but with the government, politicians, even the media, scientists, is at risk and at question. And that is not a great scenario for the market. So what will have to give the market some kind of comfort will be at least some reassurance, as it starts with the medical community saying, not so bad.
Yeah, just touching on what you've said there are concerns over the credibility in the markets right now. And as you said, investors are watching the credibility of the government, the politicians, the media, and that's just to name a few. How deep does that go? And I guess when does that credibility become restored?
Well, the credibility would potentially be restored, I think, if there is some resolution in terms of how far-reaching this is going to be as far as the Omicron. I think that would be one step. The other step would be, and actually not such a bad thing, is if Powell can actually deliver on the promise of hastening the taper, because that sends a signal that things aren't so bad. But at this point now, with people having so many fears, especially at typically a great time of year as we're going into the Santa Claus rally, which we may not see, it's going to take a lot to soothe down the fears. And the only thing I think that can really save the overall market at this point would be the retail investors, if they come in and find the sectors they like and you just follow the price of things that are moving and not necessarily get so fearful of the overall macro.
Yeah, great advice. Michelle Schneider, thank you so much as always. It's always great to catch up with you and get your insight. We'll see you next week.
See you.